Now, Judgment of the Just, this is a real important talent. What it does is going to reduce the boss's melee attack speed by 20%. And unlike Thunderclap, where it's an AoE effect, we have a single target, which is all you really need. If you're just tanking a boss, that's all that's really going to matter. Now, it kind of sucks that we don't get it for AoE effects, but of course we have higher AoE aggro and have things like Redoubt and such. I'm not going to get into the argument of who's better or whatnot, but the point is it works itself out. Shield of the Templar. More damage reduction. Avenger's Shield has a chance, or I shouldn't say a chance, it's a 100% chance to silence the target. This is great for those little pesky mobs that are going to sit there and cast whatever bitch thing they're going to throw at you, like Shadow Bolt or whatever the hell they have. And you could just say, no, get the fuck over here and I'm going to tank you where I want you. Helpful. And then Hammer of Righteousness. This is just part of your rotation. This is like a, sort of cleave almost. Hits 2 targets, including the one that you're hitting, so that's 3. And it does 4 times your main hand damage as holy. Bunch of holy damage, works great on single targets, multi-targets, everybody. It is important. Then you go over to the Retribution trait. Deflection, just increased parry chance. Why not? You should have it. No reason not to. That's more damage you're not taking. Heart of the Crusader is simply helpful for the fact that it can help your raid and yourself. It gives a little aggro to yourself because it's more crit chance. Now, as Prop Paladin, you're not exactly like a crit machine here, but for the others, when you're in a 10-man especially, where you may not have a Rep Paladin, this is just boosting raid damage, and that's helpful for fights. Judgments is a special case. In case you don't know, that most Paladins, the rotation is a 9-6-9 rotation. You have a bunch of abilities that use 9-second cooldowns, you have a bunch of abilities that use 6-second cooldowns. And you weave them in together using a 9, then a 6, then a 9, then a 6 to get your rotation as fluid as possible. That's why you only put 1 point into Judgments. Your Judgments naturally is 10 seconds. Drop it down to 9, then it fills in that spot in the rotation. So it just works out like that. Vindication. This works on bosses, which is important, otherwise I wouldn't pick it up. Reduces their attack power. Now, unlike other classes that tank, specifically warriors and druids, because Death Knights don't have one, warriors and druids, for them to equal the amount of attack power that we can reduce with Vindication, have to spec into like 5 points worth into their demoralizing shout or roar. We only have to put in 2. This is like a must-have because we can cover that for them. Because most tanks probably won't pick that up just because of the points they have to put into it. So if you got a Paladin tank, they got it covered. You only need 1, so it doesn't matter. Pursuit of Justice, I would easily consider, is the best non-tanking tank talent possible that you can get as a Paladin. What I mean by that is that it's the talent that doesn't actually help you reduce damage or keep aggro or anything. However, it helps you the most because it increases your movement speed. Higher movement speed basically means as a tank that you can get to things quicker. You can grab that boss quicker, you can grab that ad quicker, you can get over to that mechanic quicker. Helpful in all situations. There is not a damn situation where it's not helpful. Even fights where you don't move, there is at least some movement. A good example is once again Festergut. There is very little movement in that fight as far as melee is concerned. However, there comes random, bad luck spurts where say one melee may get the spore and another melee will get the spore. We personally don't like to have 2 of them in our raids. Or I shouldn't say, people get 2 of them because that's more damage for healers. We like to keep 1 to everybody, less damage, and it's not like you get double stacks of spores. So, in that case, say if I was the second one and I'm not tanking, I have Pursuit of Justice. I can run out. I could do it before. I can do it faster now. So I can take maybe more time. If my reaction time isn't as quick, it makes up for it. Or if it is quick, it's even better because I'm on top of it. So Pursuit of Justice is a very helpful talent just generally. There's really no reason not to have it. The other thing to keep in mind is Crusade. I'm sure if you've looked up anything, there's things called Crusader specs, which essentially is you going into your Retribution tree to get this talent. This will generate more aggro, you'll do a little bit more damage. This is entirely up to you. However, to get Crusader, you have to keep in mind you'll have to put another point into Ret, which most will put into Conviction, some into Seal of Command, and then go down to Crusade. Well, those points got to come from somewhere. Most people will probably take out Divinity and 1 point into Spiritual Attunement. Now, if that's what works for you, that's great. But personally, I like the extra healing I get out of Divinity. I would love to have 5 points into it, but the gain I get out of Pursuit of Justice is more important than the extra 2%. But, you know, more healing to you is important because you're a tank. That's basically the gist of talents. Let me go into glyphs real quick. Glyph of Judgment, straightforward. It's just a 10% damage increase. It's more aggro on single target mobs. Glyph of Divine Plea. This is a must-have. This reduces damage by 3% from all sources when Divine Plea's up. If you remember, if you go back down to your protection tree, you go on down to Guarded by the Light. Guarded by the Light basically lets you keep refreshing Divine Plea. Those two together, you have Divine Plea always up, and it has a 3% damage reduction. That's just always 3% damage reduction. Win-win. Final thing is Glyph of Seal of Vengeance. This is for the expertise that you need. As Paladin tank, expertise is sorta somewhat important. By what I mean by that is that not all of your tanking spells are actually going to use expertise. But you do need some because some do. That's why, if you notice, we have talents and a glyph that will work it out. You'll get a flat 16 expertise while doing this. That basically covers all your needs you're going to have, considering how little spells actually use expertise. All your spells, however, will use hit. That's a bit more important because it's a mix of melee, holy, physical damage that we sort of do. And each one is handled different. That's the basic gist of talent trees and glyphs.